beautiful hearts. We are back once again with Steven Fischer, who is the channel of the cosmic golden dragon, Jaden Say. And today we're talking about manifesting the dragon way. Many of us are feeling the dragon energy in 2024. It was the year of the dragon, and we are still feeling so much support. And it's been a time where the dragons were felt returning to our planet even before the year of the dragon. And I just find it fascinating because it is a being, it is an energy, it is a frequency that is returning to our earth to assist this shift for humanity. Hi, Stephen. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me back. It's nice to see you again.
So let's talk about this dragon energy from an overview perspective. So we've heard your story. You're welcome to share that again. But the dragon energy, even though the year 2024 was the year of the dragon, many people were feeling it before. What is your take on this? What's going on?
Well, what I've always felt and what Jadon Say has really affirmed is that the patriarchy of Rome is where dragons were dismissed summarily from our world. That it was basically the priesthood and the patriarchy who did not want humans accessing that level of wisdom and having that sort of guidance and connection with deeper wisdom. And so this was when all the dragons started to become evil in all of the stories. They were always, going to burn down a village or harm someone or had to be vanquished by some saint or angel or something like that. Some knight in shining armor had to go protect us from the dragons. They were all stories to make us unplug from our intrinsic, innate wisdom, our own dragon connections with dragon energies, our own inner wisdom, honestly, as exemplified by dragons, but also exemplified by elementals and all the other nature spirits and animals. These were all purposefully driven from us by this new patriarchy and later the priesthood and the churches and all that. And the dragons didn't leave; they just became very subtle. They just didn't show up as much in daily lives or in daily literature. They sort of took a back seat for a while, and became much more subtle. And so only some people were willing to work the dragon energies, and mostly in secret because they could get burned at the stake for heresy or something like this. So, or called some sort of evil person because they work with dragons or whatever. So it was really only the wise, the wise ones that the the midwives and the healers and the village mystics and all of our normal light workers who had to also work a little more incognito during those times. It really mirrored the same thing. So now that there's more of a slacking off of this top down patriarchy and the divine feminine is rising, so the dragons are coming back. They're just being a little more obvious. They never left. They were just very, very subtle, like fairies and angels and everything else, right? Like you have to really consciously tap into those energies. And so now more and more people are tapping into these energies. And so it seems like they're coming back, but the dragons never left.
All right, that's reassuring. And you teach a lot with the dragons. Jaden Say comes through you and you offer workshops and experiences for people to work with the dragons, to create dragon grids around your property and your home, to really work with that dragon energy. And that's so beautiful. And what I find fascinating is that the crystals, dragons can work with the crystal energy because crystal is a programmable energy. How does that work? Can you expand on this?
Yeah, well, Jadon Say says crystals are conscious beings, that they are just that their consciousness is not something we're used to revealing as consciousness to ourselves. Like, for example, I don't know, most people don't know that your average glass that's sitting in your cabinet is actually liquid. It's just that it takes centuries for it to drip down and just, become a puddle, which it'll eventually do if it's just left in your cabinet for thousands of years. And so it's like time is working differently on crystals. It's working differently on glass, on crystalline energies. It's a different level of consciousness. And so it's not as quick and present as we are, but they are very potent portals to other times and other realities, other dimensions. This is why they're used as Lemurian record keepers and all of that. A crystal can literally link you up with Lemuria in your moment of now. You can actually access your lives in Lemuria more readily with a Lemurian record keeper. It's just you can use them as portals. You can speak to them as beings on a level that is not mental. It's speaking from your own energy field, and you can have a beautiful quantum conversation, so to speak, like the one we're having right now, but with a crystal. And many people look into crystals, they gaze into crystals, and they start seeing images, shapes, or just beautiful rainbow energies or something. And it's when it starts to activate your heart that the real conversation starts. You can gaze into a crystal and maybe see a unicorn standing in the middle of it or something like that. But when you feel the love of that unicorn, that's when the conversation really starts. You're opening up a portal into that dimension. And it's beautiful. Crystals, I feel like they love to be of service in that way.
Ooh, okay. All right. So that's the crystals, and I know you've taught a beautiful class on it, so we'll get there because I think that's part of something in your offering and the package that has so many beautiful teachings in it. So thank you for sharing on that because I know we're just so naturally drawn to crystals, and then over time we're naturally drawn to dragons. We'll start to see them in stone form, right? On beaches. We can even see them on logs that wash up from the beach. I mean, that could be like a serpent energy. And we can even see them as sylphs in the sky. So, this is the energetic signature that we're beginning to tune in to tap into. But it's amazing because two people could be standing on the beach or outside and look up, and one person could really feel that energy, where another's just like, well, that's just a cloud, right? And so, does that reveal one's attunement and openness to such
Inner
info?
alignments, right? And so, everyone's truth is their truth. And you are only going to accept the truth that you resonate with or align with, right? So if you are aligned with dragon energies, or perhaps you're someone who likes to work with trees and tree energies and hugging trees and the root systems and all that, if this is an inner alignment within you, that it's not just going to be like a mental understanding, it's going to be an inner realization. It's your whole body will hum with this knowingness. And so if you are open to working with dragons, or perhaps some of you love to work with fairies and the fae, or some of you love to work with all the various beautiful, mystical and elemental animals and spirits and totems and all that. When you are inwardly aligned with this, and this often happens in your childhood, it begins there. It will be a lifelong alignment until you consciously decide to override that for some reason, or you have some kind of traumatic experience that makes you reject it or something like that. But it'll be a lifelong alignment. And so you have all these people who are aligning with different religions, different creeds and philosophies and all that. And that's because it speaks as truth to them. And if the dragon energies speak as truth to you, you won't be able to help it. They will be present. You'll see them in clouds, like you said, or on the surface of the water, or the bark of a tree, or you'll see them everywhere, or just feel this dragon energy. Sometimes you'll see a texture or a color and it just feels dragon like, or you'll see a stone and it's like, wow, that really seems like a dragon egg, or something. And a lot of the people who are really connected with dragons are drawn to certain stones, serpentine being one of those. And it's not because serpentine is associated with snakes, aka the name. That was another co-opting, so that people wouldn't work with serpentine. That was another, the Roman beings, and the emperors and priesthood basically said, oh, that's a snake-like stone, don't work with it. Why? Because it is a direct connection to these beautiful wisdom energies. So it happens again and again. Anything that's beautiful will be inverted, and you'll be told by some authority figure, don't play with those energies, never play with an oracle deck or a tarot deck, that's like opening a gateway to evil or something like this. This is again and again popping up. But yeah, serpentine is a dragon stone. It's a If you find yourself picking up serpentine and putting it in your pocket and taking it home, or just stopping to gaze at beautiful green stones, and stones that have these sort of patterns and textures to them, it's because somewhere deep inside that's connecting you with dragons. It's quite simple. It's very obvious to some people too. I mean, you look at some of these stones and it looks like dragon skin, if you could imagine what dragon skin looks like. So
Scaly, I guess, a little. All right. Okay, so for those, we're going to talk about manifesting the dragon way in just a moment. But for those, and I'm thinking most people watching this on Quantum Conversations have good relationships with dragons. But for those who may have a little inkling of fear, like, no, we're not supposed to, or it's supposed to be dragons are dangerous. What is your take on that? Because that's, like you said, it goes back to those Roman days where that was a distorted connection. And so, would you say dragons, when we see them and we can feel their energy, what would you describe that as? Is it more of like a protective energy? Is it, what are some of the things that people can use that dragon energy for in a positive, beneficial way?
well, speaking of the dragon realms is like speaking of the human realms. You could say, what's this human energy I've heard about? Well, there are humans that are beautiful, wise, masterful beings, and there are criminals, and there are addicted humans, and there are manipulative humans, and everything in between. And any realm of beings is going to have some kind of gradient like that. So it's not really fair to just paint like an entire grouping of beings as heart based or evil or nice or naughty or whatever. So when you're tapping into dragon energies, hopefully you're using your spiritual discipline and discernment to tap into energies that are for your highest good in the eyes of the highest divine, no matter whether it's dragons or angels, even, or anything like this. I want to connect with the angel that's for my highest good, right? So long as you're doing that, you can bring in beautiful, loving wisdom from the dragon realms. Amazing. And most dragons, I would say, are heart-based, benevolent, beautiful beings that are the Jadon Say always says dragons are so often depicted with wings because why? They're here to uplift. That's their main core mission. And so even the quote unquote naughty dragons that are operating in densities and dark realms are in some way nudging towards the light, nudging the needle towards upliftment. So that's something that comes up again and again with Jadon Say. But your question is like, what can you do with these energies? You can tap into deep wisdom, restore histories that have been distorted. You can restore your own remembrance and wisdom. You can understand how to connect with the various ley lines of the earth, how to work with grids. As we said, you can learn how to heal more deeply. Right now, Jadon Say is bringing through a kind of a focus on entering into the golden age. He keeps calling himself a golden dragon to usher in a golden age. And so most of his classes and focuses are on building your dreams. stepping into a beautiful world and reality, becoming highly creative and like beyond a renaissance, like a beautiful explosion of creativity and beauty in this world that can come through. And but there are things we have to do to drop the darkness that we carry within ourselves, because if you walk into a golden age carrying a bunch of darkness inside of you, it's not going to be so golden for you anyway. You're just going to keep, it's like that thing. If you're wearing purple glasses, you can scrub the plants and walls as much as you want. They're going to look purple, right? So he guides through two different series. The first one is called the Golden Codes. It's a 7 class series on looking at what's holding you back from building your dreams. Are you feeling unworthy? Are you feeling unsafe, as many light workers have from years of persecution and banishment, and even like being martyred and all that stuff? Are you feeling guided? Are you feeling like it's appropriate for you? Is it selfish to build your own dreams? Many people struggle with that. Like, when the world is so much suffering, how dare I build my dreams when everyone else around me is suffering? So we work through all of these different things that we carry within ourselves that don't even give us permission to go after our highest ideals. And he's always saying that if you show the world how to build your dreams, you're a way shower. Just don't do it in any way that diminishes another around you, and rising tide lifts all boats sort of thing. But if you're an early adopter of the golden age, you're going to be building your dreams, and people are going to see that it's possible, and they're going to follow suit. So it's not selfish. And it's not like he says, it's like a nurse in a busy hospital taking a break instead of just working 30 hours straight. This nurse isn't going to be of assistance if they're collapsing themselves, right? So self-care, building your own dreams is beautiful. It sustains you and puts you in a better position to be of service. So anyway, that's the Golden Codes helps you to drop all the limitations. It's a form of shadow work, but it's a beautiful, loving shadow work and not scary. It's just, what are you carrying that you could unburden yourself from? And then the second series he's doing on that right now is called Bridge to Your Dreams, where it's really giving tools and ways of working with manifesting. And it's manifesting the dragon way, building your dreams. Jadon Say is always joking about manifesting. Sounds like you're manipulating something with your hands. It's like you're bending tinsel or something. It's so tiny, but building your dreams can be as grand as the ideal calls for. So anyway, that series is five classes focused on going way beyond just like the law of one or any of these, the secret, all these different manifesting techniques that we've all been tapping into. This goes way beyond that, and a number of the students have been just having miracles happen, healings and manifestations and beautiful connections with deeper aspects of their own beingness. So yeah, that's kind of where the focus is.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. And so, all right, we are here on this golden age that is coming in. And I just want to share, we've talked about this a little bit, but the Kali Yuga, that system, those cycles and cycles, the Kali Yuga has ended. And we have just come out of that darkest time in humanity. And so we learn from many teachers that this is the time for great progress, like heading back to a golden age. That technically is a couple thousands of years away, but we're in it. We're out of the gunk. As of March 2025, we officially, it's common knowledge that we exited that Kali Yuga. And so we're starting to feel it. And when we look out at the world, we can see there's still a lot of polarity and divisiveness going on. But that is why it's also important now to build our dreams. And I sound like an electric car. Build your dreams, BYD. But that is very timely because I think many of us lose momentum. We lose sight of those dreams. So before you bring in a channeling with Jade and Say, can you share more on this book of intentions that you've written over the past few decades and how this Jaden Say is helping you really help people accelerate their dreams or rapidly build their dreams.
Yeah,
What's,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
what's required there?
Yeah. So in my 20s, I had a near death experience, an out of body experience that totally changed my life and reframed everything as, working in this sort of 3D density that isn't our true home. It like reframed where am I from and where do I belong so much that it just woke me up to the fact that we're here to work in this density towards whatever goals we've been drawn to, and that we have these innate tools to magnetize, what we want to ourselves into our lives, aka manifest. And so about 3 decades ago, I started a book of intentions, and I had a series of dreams that were guiding me on this. And literally everything I have written in that book of intentions has come to pass. And these are like job changes, abundance, love and life, relationships. Um, what else? Instantaneous manifestation of money when I needed it, like tuning in to how much money I need, and then feeling this great gratitude for it, and then walking downstairs and opening an envelope, and there it is, the exact amount that I asked for. That literally happened to me, and or I shouldn't say happened to me. I literally called that in. And so what I've learned over time, with like The Secret and all these things coming out to kind of confirm a lot of this, is that so often we're just mental about how we're calling in these things, writing affirmations on the mirror or repeating some mantra or something where it's just words, it's ideas, it's mental, right? There's like mental, and we're just not really focusing the feeling aspect of it, the heart and the whole body resonance with it. And when you do that, amazing leaps happen forward. That was the one eye opener when I had that immediate manifestation where I went downstairs and opened the envelope, and there was the exact amount of money in it with no strings attached, like unforeseen. Everything I asked for was exactly there in an envelope instantaneously. And I realized, why was that such a quick manifestation? And it was because I was beaming with thanks. I was beaming with gratitude that it's already so. And I went downstairs to just even prove to myself that I was that confident and so expecting that it is already so, that I would open these scary letters I was getting from the mortgage company saying you're behind and all this. And in the first letter was, oh, you've been putting too much into your escrow account. And I had asked for exactly like 1,970 some odd dollars. I didn't care about the last digit. I left the last digit off in that letter. From the, I was just going to prove to the universe I'm not afraid anymore. I'm going to open this mortgage company letter that's just probably nasty and scary. No, there was a check inside that letter for 1,970 something dollars. The reason that happened was I was in full gratitude and loving, thanking the universe already that it is so. I was holding that field, that resonance, that it is already so, so much that it became so. And it was down, then I had to work through, like, how does that work? How long has that been sitting on the table unopened? And what, you know, then you have to work through, well, wait a minute, time and eternity even comes in behind to support this, right? Like your entire timeline is revised by this action. And so that opened up a lot of understandings for me, that one experience. But there have been many experiences, you know uh, weight loss, all kinds of things, just you know anything that I asked for. Some of them came quickly and some of them were delayed, but they all happened. And I could pull out this book, and everything I've written in this book has come true. So
Wow. Well, that's a lesson for all of us to. Okay, we're going to dive deeper into the frequency that you maintained because it definitely was a frequency, a gratitude frequency. There was also a surrender frequency because you didn't hold on to that outcome. It's almost like you felt that frequency, but you were able to hold that frequency and feel it as real. But then, when you have that stack of letters down on your counter, a little bit of doubt could creep in. How did you prevent that doubt, or what do you suggest that we do with doubt? Because that's the saboteur, right? The doubt.
Right.
So that's an important thing. And this is quantum physics.
Yeah.
Literally, we are literally matching a frequency. So can you explain more of how you held on to that frequency?
I think I would have to go all the way back to my near death out of body experience to really realize where it was inside of me that shifted, that has allowed me to let go of fear.
Mm.
Because I was pinned under a car and I was dying. I was being crushed to death under a car that was slowly crushing me to death, and there wasn't going to be any time to save me. And I popped out of my body and beheld the whole thing from a totally different place of safety, of beauty, of peacefulness, of everything. This is actually my natural state, and that down there, pinned under the car, is the strange oddity, is the weird experience. And so it changed my, like, in that one experience, I went from having a fear of heights to no fear of heights whatsoever, a fear of like taking risks and things, to becoming a motorcycle racer and doing all sorts of just not reckless but very courageous things. And it was the shift within me, was that I had realized that the stuff that I was afraid of doesn't matter. It's not as important as I thought it was. Like, so many of these tigers we think coming after us to eat us are paper tigers. They're not real. They're shadows, they're specters. And so when I
Yeah.
was demonstrating to that mortgage company, or to the universe, I'm no longer afraid of the mortgage company,
Uh-huh.
right? This is no longer what's propelling my destiny into feeling backed into a corner, into a situation that I, felt like I didn't see a way out of. I bursted out of that and then had deep trust and faith that what I was thinking was a tiger is a paper tiger. It's not, I'm not afraid anymore. And so it would be really hard to just say to somebody, well, just drop your fear, because fear can be very consuming. And some people with deep traumas, it takes it's quite a process to release some of these fears. So it's not just as easy as release your fear. It's more like overwhelm it with trust and love and light, right? Like you overpower your fear with a deep trust in the universe, with a deep trust in the divine, with a deep trust that I am bigger than I think I am from here, than it seems that I am from here. Like there's a bigger part of myself, my higher self, my soul, whatever you want to call it, the Tao, you put in your own words, that is guiding all of us and all of our lives, and to our highest greatest good, so long as we don't get in the way and interfere. And so it's just having that deep trust and faith in the universe, and that everything is going to work out, that sort of overwhelms the fear. It's not like you're in denial of your fear. It's that you're sort of, you're giving it a big hug, and it just sort of melts. Like Jadon Say has a neat little story about a schoolyard bully, and how all this bully ever wanted was to be seen, was to understand that, to have people understand that that bully had a horrible life at home, or whatever, a drunk dad that was beating him up all the time, and that as soon as he was seen, he melts and is no longer the bully. He is, restored by being seen. And so I feel like the same thing we can do for ourselves when we're in fear. If we can look at that, which seems like a bit, the fear can be very stubborn and bully like, right? Like it can really push itself on us. And you can just kind of like look at that bully and say, what happened to you? And just open up an opportunity for that fear to melt away, and to, because it's been seen and acknowledged, not because it's been pushed down, or sent to the principal's office or something, right? That we're this fear has been acknowledged, but overpowered with love, and overpowered with care and compassion, and you know all of the beautiful aspects of eternity. And so I guess that's a long-winded way of saying I just overpowered my fear with trust and faith, love, compassion, and gratitude, deep gratitude for all the good that's happened in my life.
Wow. So we don't need a near-death experience to see that beauty within ourselves. We simply need to be in our heart and really aware of that heart space and that frequency to do that. So now, and I wanted to say, earlier this year, you proved this real once again, as I had an issue with my YouTube channel. And when we connected, you were like, Jaden Say has something to say about this. And you asked permission to go into the field. And when you came out, you said, oh, it'll be settled very soon. By the next morning, it was totally settled, and it had taken almost 30 days. So I just share that because it's amazing. And then there's something that I believed in that as well, too. So it wasn't as if I was giving my power away, but it was as if Jaden Say was coming in to reinforce that it's all okay. And maybe I had surrendered enough that I didn't care if that channel came back or not. Of course I did, but that it just was miraculous how that happened.
Well, I
And
was gonna say that going back and remembering that before Jade on Say even came in, I had this kind of I was reading you and it felt like you were like, okay, maybe I'm never gonna get this YouTube channel back.
I was
And
ready
you
to
were you
throw
were
in the
just about
towel.
to start to turn your energies to looking at how big it was to start over from scratch. And
Mm.
that was the moment where Jay Say was like, "Hey, look, you don't have to take that path if you don't want to." And it was you who listened to that message and changed within. It was you were the change that happened. That you shifted from being like, well, maybe I just need to let go of my life's work here, like, or well,
Yeah.
my work up until this point. Maybe I just need to let go of it. Maybe I'm too attached and another path was offered that hey, you can just trust the universe and watch everything just turn out okay. And there was a part of you that you've just shifted. You made the shift. You let go of, oops, sorry, I just hit the microphone. You let go of clinging on to whatever was going on for you. You relaxed and you made the shift, and the moment you made the shift, it changed for you. And that's how it is when we make the it's Jadon Say always says it's an inner alignment. You realigned yourself with that better outcome or that higher timeline, whatever you want to call it. And because you realigned it, the energy started flowing through that alignment. This is how it works. You're when we align to our dreams, they come.
Okay. All right. So we have to align with our dreams. Let's go. And you're free to continue talking, or we can channel Jaden Say if you'd like. But let's give our beautiful viewers and participants here. Okay, inner alignment. You said it. Um, and I just wanted to say there was a little bit of surrender. Because here, on one hand, it's 20 years of my work, 20 years of life work. And I was looking at it going, gosh darn it, I gotta get that back. But then there was one point I literally was like, I'm gonna throw in the towel and turn off the lights. But I didn't have to do that. And that actually, that's so there's that level of surrender. But then there's this it's a whole bunch of things. So let's go into that. Let's have you talk about that, and you can bring in Jade and Say if you'd like, but this is where it gets quantum. And the people who manifest, um, you could have two guys who go to high school and they're in the same sports and they grow up together, they're buddies. One could grow up and be struggling with money all his life, and the other could be starting companies and selling those companies for multi-millions. but they both grew up the same. So what is happening there? That's like an inner alignment. That's what we're talking about. It's an interface with the universe. So this is deep and it goes quantum.
Well, since it's going deep, let's bring in Jadon Say and he can respond to this. I am Jadon Say, golden dragon of the third arc of consciousness. And this is a beautiful conversation you are having, you two dear ones who are looking into some of the deeper aspects of beingness. And the beautiful question is, what is shifting within you? Is it a surrender? And is there more? Yes, dear ones, alignment is a process. It is a loving process. It is like when you are building something beautiful, or perhaps you are a potter and you are making a beautiful thing out of clay, some beautiful pottery that is, you feel that it is within your creative sphere to bring this beautiful pottery into the world, and you start to shape it and mold it lovingly, and the clay starts to yield and it starts to form into this beautiful this form of your dream, so to speak. What is happening? Is the clay surrendering? Are your hands surrendering to the control of your creative beingness? What is surrendering, and to whom? And are there choices being made? Or is there free will at work here? Is there deep creativity? Yes, and yes, and yes, and yes. Alignment is all of the above, dear ones. It is opening the beautiful channel. If you think of the flow of water, so perhaps you wish to take a lake and irrigate a distant field. And what is the best way to do this is to open up a channel that is takes the water from point A to point B with beautiful edges to the canal or channel, or perhaps you are just optimizing a river that is already there, removing obstructions, or placing boulders in certain places that make the water flow better. And so, dear ones, it is like this. You are the work that you are lovingly doing. Some of it is surrender, some of it is free will, choice, creativity. All of these different aspects of your being are aligning. And when they all line up, dear ones, we know how much water can flow down a river if it is in full alignment, with beautiful channels. And we know that this is just a metaphor for energy flowing through a channel of some kind, an alignment. And dear ones, you are yourselves portals for divine, beautiful energies that are just waiting for the alignments to come through truly and purely and with great flow. Dear ones, love, the flow of love through your form. When you feel it moving, is it not moving through you? Is it not moving because you have aligned to open up the gates of this, your heart and your emotions and your beingness, dear ones? It is when you are aligned, it comes so naturally. Say you see a cherubic little child, some 5-year-old or 3-year-old that is so darling and doing something precious and chortling with laughter. Perhaps a butterfly is interacting with this little one, and you are just observing. And the more you observe, the more aligned you are with the beauty of this little one, the more aligned and appreciative you are of this. And this love starts to flow. You cannot help it. You just love this little one. This is how it works, dear ones. Just do not fight what you are here to do, and the alignments will happen.
Okay, thank you for that. This is very important. Can you talk about the dream scope? Because many who are in the 3D world, we lose sight of those dreams because we've been banged up and battered up by experiences and things that happen in our life, having to put a roof over our head, struggling, challenges, things like that. When we're dreaming big, how big is big? Can you offer insight on, some things? Because and what else is required? Because it's more than just saying, oh, I want to have X amount of people for something. and then you never see that. Why are some dreams not seen? Maybe talk a little bit about the mechanics of what could keep us from that and dreaming so big, because
Mm,
sometimes doubt could come in and say, that's too many people, for example, or that's too big of a dream. Is there such a thing like that? I'm going to say no. So, how do we decipher just the right size of dream, or how do we progress the dreams?
Dear ones, there is a word that is beautiful in your language called the ideal. An ideal. Do you not see the word idea in ideal? And do you not see deal in that word? Are there not flows of energy within this word alone? The ideal. When you have an idea, dear ones, think to one of the best ideas you have ever had in your life. What happens in the moment that that idea comes through? And why do we say that an idea comes through? Why does it feel this way? Like it came through from a greater beingness somewhere? Because it did, dear ones, and it is. Your ideas flow through you, and they come to you, and then you also shape them as they're coming through as well. It is very much like the sculptor with the clay. It is ideas are malleable like this. However, just feel the energetic. I have this aha moment where, oh, this ideal, this is what it needs to be. This is what would be beautiful if it occurred. This would be just so perfect. And the more you feel into this, the more aligned you are with it. You feel its beauty. It becomes not just an idea, but an ideal. And when you start to identify these, have you noticed some repeating patterns in the language? When you identify this ideal, dear ones, this is when it becomes an archetype of your creation, your soul's template, so to speak. It becomes part of your purpose, your reason for being. You have identified an ideal. It has become an idea. And because of this, you are now aligned. You have changed. You have shifted. The ground beneath your feet has even shifted somewhat. When you have such a big idea that is so beautiful, you could see the whole world benefiting from this idea, like your Nikola Tesla with free energy. Can you imagine the world with free energy? No more oil and drilling, and no more of these combustion engines, and no more gasoline being drugged around, and all of this. Can you imagine how abundant your food would be, and all of these different technologies just springing up around the fact that there is abundant energy for all, not just for a select few, but anyone who wishes to harness it for their dreams? Do you see how one ideal, this free energy of Nikola Tesla, can become beautiful ideals for others? And this can be a guide for you. Is it just good for me? Does it just pile up a bunch of toys around me? Or is it good for everyone in my life? Is the tide going to rise all boats? So you say. And these are the ideals. There is no such thing as dreaming too big. The idea of pie in the sky, dreaming, let us just say pie in the sky is when you are not fully aligned, when it is more like a wish. There is an old saying, if wishes were horses, then beggars would ride. And I think it should be updated to, if wishes were Learjets, then beggars would fly, or something better like this for now. However, dear ones, do you see that the difference between a wish and an intention, or a dream, let us say, is that a wish has already built into it that it probably will never happen. It is a whimsical thinking, pie in the sky, or something like this. It is when your own doubts overpower the possibility of some ideal. And so it just becomes a wish, a fantasy. Probably not going to occur. And when it is an ideal that we are striving for, when one of your leaders said we are going to land a person on the moon, this set into motion a great change of humanity. For it was not just wouldn't it be nice if somebody was taking pictures on the moon? No, it was, we're doing this together. And so it was, dear ones. You can argue over whether or not it really occurred. This is fun and whatever. You just get the picture.
Yes, we get the picture, and you really have us thinking about, wow, it's not for our own personal benefit. It is for a deep desire to assist the planet and the greatest benefit for humanity. I get that. So even though it may benefit us, it's this greater desire to assist the planet, to assist humanity that will be supported on all levels. Am I close on that?
Indeed, dear one. And it can be grand in scale or it can be scaled down, so to speak. If you have one individual who proclaims, I am done trading my time for money, and they say this publicly, and they say, I am going to move beyond just trading my time for money. I reject what I have been taught by all these loving beings who just want me to be well. I reject that I need to fill up a bank account to be happy. I am no longer trading my time for money. And then, dear ones, if this being then moves into this love, this way of life, and demonstrates for those around that yes, you can go full wizard, so to speak, and just unplug from the machine of industrial society, whatever. Dear ones, you can become a beacon. Just you. Did you notice that person? They're living in this beautiful dream house on this shores of this dreamy lake under the shadow of this beautiful mystical mountain, and they don't have a job. Dear ones, your Stephen, whose mouth I am using, is a person such as this, has stopped trading their time for money, and it is possible. And once you know that, once more of you feel this and see this as a possibility, it becomes easier for you to reach out and do this, for you have an example of success there. And so any of example of a successful ideal being reached goes into the human field and becomes much easier for others to repeat or to modify to their own liking. It does not need to be grand or earth shaking.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Can you give us a protocol to get creative with our dreams?
Dear ones, it is like so many masters have said, you just need to become like a child again. Remember when it was much more fun to draw pictures or something like this than to listen to the teacher in class. This is because, dear ones, you know, your soul knows how to dream. You are made of dreams. Even this life of yours was a dream of yours before you stepped into it. Dear ones, every moment you are building your dreams. It is just that many of you are doing this with these subconscious, let us say, the desires of that you are inherited from your parents or grandparents from older times. And we all know the story of someone's grandparent making sure that they eat every scrap of food on the plate. Why? Because that person grew up in the Great Depression when there were only a few cans of food even in the cupboard, and wasting food was dangerous. And so then you carry it into this time and you say, eat every scrap of food on your plate and you will be obese, because there is all this, well, it's not even really food mostly, but there is, let us say, all this, it is widely available. And so, dear ones, it is not always a bad advice from this loved one who gave you these advices of not being wasteful, or hard work is the only way to get ahead, or these sorts of belief systems that were very, very true and important for the time that they were given. However, times have changed, energies have shifted. This old advice you carry that you have inherited is not always for your highest good anymore. And so, therefore, instead of just running on automatic on these little programs that were installed by your parents or your teachers or your grandparents or some scientist or something, or nutritionist or something, rather than just going by these and building your dreams by that set of rules, so to speak. It is important to take a look at what you are carrying in this backpack of yours, examine it. Do I still need to carry the weight of this burden with me? Is there a better way to be? Should I re-examine what my grandparents said in the light of today, or something like this? Then you are using your own free will, your own conscious awareness to build your dreams, not just the dreams that someone else had for you.
Thank you for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We know you've got such beautiful teachings that you discuss all types of things on this, and we are looking forward to talking to Steven about that. As we end our time with you, is there a message for humanity at this time? Our time on Earth is it feels tumultuous, but it's also feeling like there's a higher light coming in. Can you speak to this?
Mm. Dear ones, what is needed most is for those of you who are feeling that your dreams are selfish, or that your even anything in your life is simply selfish, to take a fresh look at this. What is this selfishness we are speaking of? And why is it that I am trying to guard myself against other people's ideas and ways of doing things? Or what is it that I am trying to protect here? And when we really feel into this, dear ones, the highest ideal is that which benefits all without harming another. Let us just say that it is your dreams are not in anyone else's way unless they harm another or take something from another, take away resources another needs, or something like this. And this world is so abundant that it is highly unlikely that you should be arguing over resources at this stage. What it is dreaming a world where there is more tolerance, equality, equity, compassion, understanding. Build your dreams in such a way that you allow others to build theirs. Let their dreams be their dreams. Where they align, perhaps you can build a community together, or a city, or a civilization, even. And where they do not, there is a place for that other person's ideas and ideals to be expressed that will not interfere with yours, perhaps on a different continent, or on the other side of a mountain range, or whatever is appropriate, even a different world, dear one. Soon you will have the ability to move to other worlds, even. And so do not feel that your dreams are harming another unless they are indeed taking something away from someone, or harming them, or hurting them in some way. If this is not the case, then you will have nothing holding you back from any ideal, any dream that it is for you to express, dear ones.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for that. That is so inspiring. And we are going to dream big. We are going to dream of that world full of compassion and love and harmony. And I know everyone watching this show is already wishing that. So we're going to keep on keeping on and not be distracted by anything that is less than that. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank
Well, he's
you.
always very direct about things.
Yeah, very, very powerful. I
Mm.
love the ideal. And so it's really important. The key is what are we dreaming? Is it selfish or is it for the betterment of humanity? And so, despite what goes on in the world, when we hold on to that frequency, we're going to see things happen. We're going to see one foot in front of the other, and we're going to smile all the way to it. Because you've noticed this in your own life,
Hmm.
right? And so you know that frequency. So, in a nutshell, it's a little bit of surrender, and trust in the love of the universe, the love and support of the universe. And does our dreams benefit more in humanity? I
Well,
do see,
let's not leave out free will and inspiration too. That
right.
we're not just surrendering to somebody else's plan. We're we are aligning with what's going on from the above, right? From the divine or from our higher self or our greater self or whatever it is, we're aligning with that. So it could be seen as complete surrender, but it's alignment, I think, is the right word, because you're just getting on board with it. It is like a surrender in a way. It's just you're aligning, you're getting on board with it, but you also have oars in the river too. You can steer your boat too. It's like, oh, we do have a role to play on the ground, and that is to make choices. We identify the ideal, and then we ask for it, and that's our role, right? Is to be the boots on the ground, to call in what's needed on the ground level, and then let the support come and get in line with it, be in line with what comes, right? So it's both. It's alignment, it's surrender, and it's creativity and inspiration.
Creativity and inspiration. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And so meditation and coming into our heart space is one of those things that kindles the creativity, the silence, and listening, like an inner listening, right? Higher
Mhm.
self connection and all of
Yeah.
that. Wow. Are there times where you had trouble hearing your inner wisdom?
Yeah, the times where I have trouble are when I get mired up in something 3D, really, something very physical, some kind of drama or an
Yeah.
argument with another being or a disagreement of some kind. And when you get pulled into a drama, or you even partially create your own dramas, or completely create your own dramas, then you kind of get your vision gets narrow, right? Because you're focused on the drama, and it can distract you. I kind of think of it as distraction, or momentary discomfort, whatever. Just let it pass, and it will pass. And just don't get too attached to it. If you get attached to some outcome that's in dispute or something, and you get into this contentious, like, I got to force my will on something, then that can definitely distract you for a while.
Uh-huh. Very, very good. All right. Very practical steps of how we can manifest the dragon way, really building our dreams. And this has been very helpful. Very helpful. Thank you. So there is a special offer of your courses. You've got five. This is 10 hours of workshops with Jade and Say and yourself on manifesting the dragon way. This is all about abundance. This is about building your dreams, manifestation, how we move into this golden age, and actually being a way shower for others. And I know many are already that way. And so this will amplify this for them. Share with us what is happening in these workshops and how they will benefit those who work with these workshops.
Okay, the Golden Codes are a series of 5 workshops. And the 5 workshops, the first is the 5 workshops all focus around letting go of the limitations, what's holding us back from our dreams. And so there's one of the golden codes is, I am not worthy. One of them is I am not safe. One of them is I am not guided, or whatever. The code itself is I am worthy, I am safe, I am guided, I am ready, etc. And each of them, each of these workshops looks at what you might be carrying, the energies, the burdens you might be carrying, invites you to take a very close look at it. Was it given to you by another? Where you inherited? Did it inherit from grandparents or science or a teacher or something? Did you, where did it come from? Do I still need this? I'm going to take this out of my backpack and look at it. And does it go back in, or do I lovingly fold it up and put it in a drawer somewhere and enter it into the Akashic records and thank eternity for it and leave it behind? Right. And so there are meditations in each one that go into a real energetic lightening up and unburdening for each of these codes. And so that's the Golden Codes series. It's a series of 5 golden code, or 7 gold. I'm sorry, it's 7 golden codes, and then you go into Bridge to Your Dreams. So the Golden Codes is a series of 7 workshops, not 5. So the Golden Codes is a series, you might need to edit this or something. The Golden Codes is a series of 7 workshops, each one with one of these codes. And then there, after that, we have another workshop of 5 workshops called Bridge to Your Dreams. And these are hands-on manifesting techniques. So in the first series, we're letting go of our burdens. We're doing our shadow work to not bring darkness into the golden age with us, to help hold our heads high and be ready for this work completely and aligned inside with our dreams. And then in the second series, Bridge to Your Dreams, there are 5 2-hour classes that introduce dragon ways of manifesting. So way beyond just The Secret or the Law of One or anything like that. It's aligning your entire beingness with your dreams. And so each class brings you a little more easily across this proverbial bridge to your dreams, and teaches the kind of a way of being that allows for more easily building your dreams. And we've had a lot of feedback from students and participants who have gone through this and had miraculous healings, manifestations. Like, it's working for a lot of people, and that's why we do this. It's the more of us that are out there building our dreams and showing others in their lives that these things can be done, it spreads like wildfire. And then suddenly you're in a golden age where there's this explosion of creativity, and that's what we see as the future. That's what we're calling in.
That's what you're calling in, and we honor that and thank you for that, because we're right there with you as well. And so this is so uplifting because we can sense it, we can feel it within our hearts, and we're so ready for it. We're so ready for it. All right, both of those offers are available on this webpage that got you here, or it's in the link on the description where you're watching this video, and we're really excited for that. Thank you for
And
these.
we would like to go further than that for both of these series. We would like
Yes.
to give the viewers of New Earth One and this quantum conversation 20% off on the series, on each of the series. Is so that's 12 classes, 24 hours of wisdom.
There you go. That is awesome. Thank you so much for that. I love it. Um, I had a revelation. And so this is really about following those aha moments, following those, wow, that'd be cool. And I had this moment where, and I have a gas car. I'm kind of not feeling good about that, but it got really hot. And then I'm driving and I see there's when it's an electric car, the license plate is a different color. And then I started doing the math and I saw, wow, 10 out of 100 cars, not trucks, but that's 10% of the cars that I just saw on the highway. That's a pretty good number.
Hmm.
10% of electric. And so I was like, wow. And then I'm feeling the heat of my car and it's literally overheating. And then I realized, wow, if the whole world were an electric car, yes, you still have to, there's other ways to power it, right? Maybe not with coal, but maybe there's hydrogen energy, things like this, water energy. Anyway, I saw how that helps the world cool down a little bit. It's not going to be so hot.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, wow, that could be nobody in the media ever says how cars are hot. They say ozone, but it's
Right.
like the heat of a car. And now if
Mm-hmm.
everyone knew the heat of a car, they don't want that getting out. They
Mm-hmm.
don't want us to know that it's the heat of our cars.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that was an aha moment. And so one of my big dreams is what we can do to bring in those technologies. So I'm going to hold that out for the masses. I don't know my part in it, but I know I'm going to have an electric car, which will be fueled by water energy. Right. So anyhow, we just continue to dream in this way. Thank
And
you.
and one of my dreams is that we have a portal that you walk through, and we can have lunch in Paris or London or something like that, and then come home and sleep in our own bed. How's that?
Yeah. You know what? That would be so great. Yes, a portal, like you don't have to spend 20 hours on a flight
Right. You
to
just
go to
walk through the
Stonehenge.
portal and you're in London, right?
All right, let's really hold out for that one. Let's just keep that one as an ideal in our
Mm-hmm.
world. I would
Mm-hmm.
love that. Okay.
Dream
Thank you
big.
for that. Dream big and just do what you can in your reality to make that manifest.
That's
All
right.
right.
Yep.
Final thoughts, Steven Fischer. Thank you for joining us. Any final thoughts as we say goodbye?
Well, I love the New Earth One network because we are building a new Earth together, aren't we? And that's what your body of work has been, stitching this quilt together of light workers who all have that in mind. And when we look at those bigger alignments, that's amazing. And so I would like to say thank you for being one of those beings who is aligning light workers toward a goal, this new Earth. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, all light workers, for being here and feeling this energy within your heart and making it your world as well. Wow, that feels rich.
Hmm.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Jaden Say. Namaste.
No.
This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.